Hi, this is Bernie Borges, host of the Social Business Engine podcast. Welcome to our UpClose Podcast Series 3, where I record 5 consecutive episodes with a thought leader on a relevant topic for the modern marketer. The theme of this series is the 5 most influential topics for B2B marketing. My co-host for this series is Dayle Hall, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Lithium Technologies. Now, you can listen to each podcast episode in this series individually through your favorite podcast player, of course. Additionally, you can also get all 5 episodes in one recording. Now, we make that available at socialbusinessengine.com. Just click on the UpClose On Demand Podcast Series button. You'll also receive Social Business Journal Volume 10, which is a white paper style, sort of expanded version of this UpClose podcast series. It's a useful white paper that captures the key insights from the entire 5-episode series with Dayle Hall, plus some bonus content. I think you'll probably want to share that white paper with your team. Now remember, you can get all 5 episodes to UpClose Podcast Series in one recording and the Social Business Journal Volume 10 at socialbusinessengine.com. Now, before I bring in Dayle Hall from Lithium Technologies, here's the outline of the 5 episodes in this series. In episode 1, we discuss influencer marketing. All hail marketing to influencers. In episode 2, we discuss data overload and how do you harness it. In episode 3, we discuss the digital customer experience is the new battleground. In episode 4, we discussed the state of social engagement in 2017. And in episode 5, we discuss a love story. This love story is when sales and marketing get aligned. And now let's get to episode 1 with my co-host Dayle Hall, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Lithium Technologies. Welcome, Dayle.
Good afternoon, Bernie. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this conversation. And here we are for episode 1, Dayle. We are going to discuss influencer marketing is dead. All hail marketing to influencers. But what I'd like to do is actually begin our discussion with what influencer marketing isn't.
Okay, that seems like a reasonable place to start. As before we can figure out what we need to do right, let's figure out how to avoid the pitfalls and
exactly
make sure we know what it isn't. So I would say there's a few things that I see as the anti-influencer marketing, at least for B2B brands anyway. First off, it isn't a famous person / a single celebrity.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, it's the power of influencer marketing comes from a broader industry and community type knowledge and how you can really have a bigger influence across multiple people. So I don't think in B2B world one influencer has the same kind of power. So it's not the most famous person within your arena is suddenly the person to go after for influencer marketing.
Okay, makes sense. Not to mention that they're expensive, but yep, gotcha.
That too, and B2B marketers are not generally flushed with a ton of cash as well.
Right.
Okay, so if we assume it isn't just a single person, say the most famous person, the biggest celebrity that you have as related to your industry or your market, I would say the second point, it's not the elite. It's not the top 10 or 20 CEOs. It's not just one person, but then it's also not the next 10, 15, 20 people. Because again, that would narrow the scope of people you could reach. It would narrow how you can appeal to those people and the programs you could offer. Plus, those kind of people are probably being impacted. They're probably being requested. They're being hit constantly with these kinds of requests. So if you want to get better value for the things that you do and you want to get better ROI, you still need to think broader than those top 20, 30, you could call them the elite. but you need to think broader than that top echelon of people within your industry or market or segment that you're looking at for influencers. So it's not just a single person, but then you need to go even broader than just the next 20 or 30 people.
Okay, and they can also be very hard to even access. So good point. Okay.
And then I would say for point 3, the most important thing is influencer marketing is never done. It doesn't start and stop. You may have programs that have a beginning and an end, but it's the ongoing activities. It's the constant touch point. It's always thinking about that broader audience, your community, the people you're trying to influence, and saying, basically, what have I done for them lately, right? How have I engaged with them? What have I been able to provide? What have they provided to me? How have we interacted? And being able to track and measure that engagement and that interaction and make sure that the teams you have are thinking about this kind of marketing to influencers ongoing. It certainly isn't hey, we have a product launch, let's go out and do some influencer marketing to get more press around our product. That will ultimately fail, and it will come across as very disingenuous.
Yep, couldn't agree more. So those are 3 excellent points, Dayle, on what influencer marketing isn't. It's not about single celebrity or the elite or just, the one-off, as you say. So let's discuss now, what is influencer marketing in today's B2B landscape? Yeah,
that's it seems like a natural progression. So what do we think it is? Or, at Lithium, what are we trying to do, and what do I think it is? Well, first of all, it is creating a unique and genuine interaction that's authentic. So what do I mean by that is it's not just what I want to talk about, it's the interaction that we have together, and it's how we build a relationship with potentially me as an individual, but also with the brand. If I'm talking to that kind of community, then I am representing the brand. So they may be getting to know me, and at the same time, I hope, in a very positive way, they're getting to know a brand. And that's also with me making sure that I'm being genuine and I'm very open and honest with who I am, what I'm trying to do, and who I'm trying to influence, and why I'm actually engaging in this conversation. I think if you don't have that genuine authenticity at the start, this influencer community that you're looking at will immediately sniff that out, and they'll call BS on it. They'll say,
sure,
"Hey, this isn't genuine. I'm not interested in engaging with someone that's just around, selling a product or getting more engagement."
Yeah, I've lost track of how many times you said genuine, but you can't say it enough on that point because that's what it's all about. So I totally agree.
Yeah, it's very important. And I think the second part would probably be how you partner with individuals who potentially have certain types of influence over the community that you're looking at. And what I mean by that is not every influencer is created equal, and you tailor that approach based on where they are in their, let's call it, influencer life cycle. Are they just beginning? They have a fair number of followers, but they have deep technical expertise, for example? Then you engage with them in a certain way. Or are they more senior? They've been in the industry a long time, but now they're seen more as a thought leader. So that's a different type of engagement. You're talking to them more around, where the industry's going, and less around the technical details. So creating that partnership and understanding who that audience is exactly, one of the most important points in marketing to influencers. So you're not just blasting them, the different influencers at the different level with different focus areas or concerns. You're not just blasting them with the same content and expecting to get exactly the same result from every influencer.
And my takeaway from that point, Dayle, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all in terms of the influencers that you work with. So, excellent point.
Yeah. And then the final point I would say is the consistency. And I mentioned this as what it isn't at the start. It's not a one-off. So
right.
The consistency of engagement. the consistency to make sure that people see you. If you appear on their platforms and in their channels, and you stay for a period of time, and you have what I talked about earlier, that authenticity, that genuine engagement. If you can maintain that, that will build a level of trust that will ultimately drive better influencer marketing, because it really is the trust that will see the results come from the programs you create. And we we talk about this all the time at Lithium. There was a study a few years ago that basically said people trust other people more than they trust anyone else from the brand. Mm-hmm. This is where, if you can be consistent in your engagement as an individual and not necessarily just talk about the virtues of the brand or the product, then once they get to know you, they are more likely to ultimately be influenced. That sounds like I'm manipulating the situation. I don't mean you're really trying to you're trying to create programs. You're trying to do influencer marketing without it coming across as, this is my ulterior motive and I need to use you for my own purpose. And I think within B2B brands, they have to be very careful of that, because it's a relatively small community. And some of the examples that I have show really how brands can do that in a B2B world without worrying too much that influencer marketing is just for consumer brands.
Yeah, well, we've discussed so far what influencer marketing isn't, and then you gave a really 3 excellent points on what is influencer marketing in today's B2B landscape. So you just alluded to some examples. So do you want to get to your first example, Dayle?
So I'm very partial to this example because I actually used to work there. It's a company called Aruba Networks. They are a Wi-Fi networking provider, recently acquired by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. But what they're doing is, so as a company, they're redefining the intelligent edge. They're meaning networking, it's mobility, it's Internet of Things solutions for organizations across the world. Now, their strategy is focused on leveraging not just the personal but the professional development interests of their community by creating the right content and opportunities across industry-leading topics, not just around their products. And the one thing I've always been very proud of, and I worked there for 2.5 years, and they've continued this. They've always done that with a very genuine sense of humor. They've always brought the personalities into that influencer and community engagement program. And one of the things that they did differently is they built a program around the community and influencers, where they created an online hub, the Airheads community tool, which is what they use Lithium for.
Airheads, that's what it's called?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Great name for anyone connected with Wi-Fi, Airheads.
Yeah.
But what they also did is they created a program beyond just the online portion, where you could actually get recognized and get credit and get rewarded for how many events you attended, how many certifications you achieved with Lithium, what kind of training you did. And the program itself was built up to reward people either online or reward them physically, like, special access to products, access to their CTO, Kirti, who was one of the industry thought leaders. So they went beyond just what you do online. It's more than just what you communicate with or have a conversation online. They've built an entire program about it. And what they've done is they've then taken that. They have over 75,000 social engagements per month. And they've been able to bring people from social channels into their community tool and then also engage with them further at events. They had a social contest where they've had over 100 unique contributors with 235 contest entries, which is basically increased by over a third year over year. So,
nice.
Yeah, and again, this is a B2B brand we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I want to remind people, this isn't Pepsi or Coke. Right.
Yeah.
They have millions of followers and so on. This is a B2B brand creating something, creating content, creating programs, creating ideas with the team that they have. And the only thing that they really invest in is the tools to bring people online with things like the Lithium community, and then other things that they might do at events. So it's a relatively cheap and effective way of engaging with their influencers that's having great success.
Awesome. And that's an ongoing program.
It is. They've been doing that for about 6 years now. And I can tell you the stats that they shared with us recently. They were one of the people that submitted to our yearly Lithies. That's where we recognize the leading edge of digital customer experience. Some of the things that they've done and the improvement in their engagement has been incredible. You should definitely check that out.
Awesome. Well, I actually cheated because I did read the case study in advance, but my listener didn't, so it was great for them. Now, I know you've got at least one or two other examples that you want to share, so which one would you like to share next?
Yeah, so we have another one. There's GoDaddy. So for those, most people are probably familiar with that, but GoDaddy basically powers the world's largest cloud platform dedicated to small and independent ventures. So their goal was to encourage engagement of customers to aid in basically learning around GoDaddy products and services, so they could potentially invest more or at least use more. So they worked with us, and what they do is they extend and enhance that customer relationship to recognize influencers and advocates. And what they've done is they've basically spent 5 weeks working closely with these customer volunteers to create the best, most compelling content to launch their community. And I can tell you, having launched a number of communities, the biggest impact you can have on these influencers on your community, for example, is bring them in as you start to develop things. So I talked earlier about being genuine, developing trust. The best way to get to that point, to be seen as genuine and to build trust, is to say, hey, we're doing something new. We want you to be part of it. We want you to help us do this. Help us do this together. That is exactly what an influencer or someone in the community is really looking for from a brand. And I don't care whether it's GoDaddy, another B2B brand, or any consumer brand. If you can have that kind of relationship with your community, you're already way ahead of the game. And now they have the amount of traffic and the increase in their organic search because of things like this program and the articles they were able to add has gone up by 50%.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, at Lithium, if I could run programs constantly and increase my organic traffic by 50%, I might make CEO. Okay, maybe not CEO, but I would certainly be seen as a hero. So
any marketing executive would take that all day long. Absolutely. Absolutely. And incidentally, GoDaddy was recently featured on this podcast, so a great brand example. And Dayle, I know that you've got one other brand teed up that you want to share as an example for B2B Influencer Marketing. Yeah.
So quickly, the last one, we actually use them, and they're also a customer of ours. So Domo, they have a business intelligence and data business. Oh, that's a mouthful. Thankfully, I don't work there. Domo, so it's basically business intelligence and data visualization. And what they're trying to do is deliver better growth and customer adoption of the platform and what they deliver as a service. So they launched their platform to basically drive better customer collaboration, provide support, and draw people in to develop product ideas. One of the biggest impacts you can have by developing influencer marketing programs is you use the feedback from the community to develop new ideas that, no offense, but sometimes the product team or the marketing team just can't get to, or they don't see how important it is. And what they were able to do is they basically once they launched their community, their customers have submitted beyond 500 new ideas for their products. Now, I'm not saying Domo didn't have all those ideas somewhere, but if your community, if your influencers give you that list, then surely that's a better place to start. Surely it's better to say, hey, hang on, our community are telling us this is important to them, we should prioritize that. I mean, we spend millions a year on research, market research, analyzing, what's the hot topics. You have one of the best, in something like a community platform, you have one of the easiest and best ways to assess what your customers and prospects need. If you're not using it, you're absolutely missing out. And yep. I know for a fact some of those product ideas have now been implemented into the product.
Fantastic. Well, those are 3 excellent B2B examples of influencer marketing in action being done the way it should be. Dayle, I happen to know that you are the best dressed person at Lithium. So, in keeping with your eye for style and fashion, I'd like to know, what do you think is in style this season in terms of influencer marketing?
Well, I would say, first off, whoever told you I was the best dressed at Lithium, I clearly like very much. And if I find out who that person is, I will give them a pay rise.
All right. Well, I've met you a few times, so I can validate that.
I appreciate that. So if I think of it in terms of what's hot, what's on the catwalk, what's on the runway this year, I would say I think UGC, user generated content, is making a comeback. It doesn't cost a lot to do, and it's genuine and it's authentic. It comes from fans, it comes from customers. Sometimes it comes from people that don't like your brand, but what a way to potentially influence them by connecting them with other people who have all this great content about you and your community. And frankly, all it costs you is your time. Mm-hmm. It costs you your time to build those connections, and that's it. You don't have to run any specific programs. And UGC has been around for a long time, but I think it's kind of died down a little bit. I think that's coming back right now, and brands aren't using it as well as they should.
Okay. All right. So, again, in keeping with, your eye for style and fashion, what's on the runway for next season in B2B influencer marketing?
Well, I would say that for B2B marketers, I think they're no longer in the driving seat, but when it comes to content and ideas for the programs they run. They're still in the driver's seat for what they do for marketing, but if I look at the influencers and the customers, I think they will start to drive the campaign ideas and the programs that brands should run. We talked about this with community and product ideas, but the people that you're trying to reach are telling you what they care about. They're telling you, what influences them if you actually stop to listen. So I think the next fashion season, the next season around influencer marketing, you just have to map your content into your influencer or customer network, or at the end of the day, you probably be, you're going to be the least fashionable brand around, I think.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's wrap episode 1 here, Dayle. Hey, the theme of this series is the 5 most influential topics for B2B marketing. And this has been episode 1, All Hail Marketing to Influencers. Hey, this is Bernie Borges, host of the Social Business Engine podcast, along with my co-host, Dayle Hall, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Lithium Technologies. Join us for episode 2 of this UpClose series, where we'll discuss how to harness data overload. Now remember, if you want to access all 5 episodes in this series in one recording, just go to socialbusinessengine.com and click the UpClose On Demand podcast button. Dayle and I will see you on episode 2.